Okay.
Oh, it says live on Facebook.
Okay. Oh, but I'm not seeing it. And if anybody is viewing this, I am just working out. Oh, okay, it says that we're live on Facebook. I just can't see us. So I want to make sure that I can. Okay, perfect. It's working. I'm so excited. Okay, everybody. Thank you for joining. I'm Noelle with my interview buddy, and I'm here with Shawna Poliziani. No, I said that wrong again. Do it. Say Poliziani. So Shawna is my designer, but more than that, she is a branding guru. She's extremely passionate about branding, and that's one of the reasons why I wanted to bring her on to talk. This came about when I was talking to a client who was passed up for an amazing opportunity because she didn't have her personal branding down. And I didn't realize that it was such a big deal that people could lose out on opportunities like a raise or a promotion or even a job if their branding isn't where it should be. So I wanted to be able to help her out and anybody else that has that question. But alongside with that, there are people who are looking to do these personal websites. So I wanted to get into that too. So Shawna, I'm gonna let you just tell me a little bit about yourself before we get into branding.
Yeah, for sure. So obviously my name is Shawna. I run my own graphic design and branding company, and I've been doing that for a little over a year now, so about a year and a half. And prior to that, I actually worked full-time in a corporate job as a graphic designer. So I have a large spectrum of experience when it comes to design, and right now I mainly work with like entrepreneurs online, personal brands. So it's very different from going from corporate to that. I've grown up an artist all my life. I was the best artist in high school in the yearbook. So yes, that was me. And then I went to art school. Yeah, right. I went to art school, and I actually had the intentions to be a fine artist instead of a graphic designer, but the whole money thing came into play, and then I actually really ended up liking graphic design. So that's my experience. I've always been an artist, and then I've also been very in tune with people growing up. I was always like the listener, and I feel like that's how I get to know brands so well. So all of it kind of just came to me when I realized I didn't like working a corporate job. I didn't like working a 9-to-5, which some people do, some people don't. It's all about you. And so I created my own little business on the side, and eventually that got pretty big and I could take that on full time. And then I started working for myself. So yeah.
Okay, great. Well, thanks for sharing about yourself. I want to really dig in right away to what does branding really mean to you?
Yeah, absolutely. Branding is, so the one thing I always say to people, and people have heard it all across every single profession I've ever run into, but the quote, branding is what people say about you when you walk out of the room, or what they say about your business, whatever. Because it's so true. Branding is the way that you present yourself to your audience. It's more than just a logo. It's more than just your website. It's actually the voice, the mission, the core values that you want your business to represent.
Well, so there is this, with bringing up with what my client was having issues with, and then the more research that I've been doing on it, do you think that working professionals, not just entrepreneurs that are building businesses, but do you think that somebody that just has a working career can build a brand or needs to have a brand?
Absolutely. You yourself, like, you're a brand, whether you think so or not. Like, everybody has a brand, and it's a matter of if you take control of it or if you let other people take control of it. So especially now in this day and age, when everybody has a Facebook, everybody has a social media account, why not have a website? Even if you don't think you need one, there's just always that opportunity that comes around and you're like, oh, I really wish they would have found me online to know what I'm about. Or like this girl that you're mentioning, like, she obviously needed something a little bit more other than just a resume to turn in. I've heard from a lot of people that recruiters are now looking on social media past a resume, like even from you, Noelle, like, you know this, like people want to know the person before they know the experience behind whatever job you're getting into, you know? And I think that it really speaks for people are looking for someone who fits their company, somebody who fits their brand. So if your brand meshes with their brand, it's obviously going to be a good fit, and that's what they're looking for.
I completely agree. And you made a really good point earlier when you were saying that you don't want other people to like brand you for you. You want to be able to do that yourself, and that you have to be able to come in front, because what they're saying when you're not there could be something that you don't want them to be saying. So you're branding anyway.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
So what would you say are a few ways that somebody can brand themselves or elevate themselves through branding?
Yeah, take control of your social media accounts. This is such good timing because I just actually got done with a course teaching people about branding, so I have it all fresh in my mind. So the first thing you want to do is really think about how you want to portray yourself to other people. So what are you passionate about? What do you really want people to know you for? And how can you push that out to people? It's not so much, I mean, branding obviously does have a lot of design value that comes into play, but if you have your mission down, if you have your voice down, if you have like these core values just like everywhere about you, like people will know who you're about and they'll really catch on to that. So take control of what you're putting out on the internet and then really manage it. So if something pops up on your feed and you're like, oh, like it's on your wall, say somebody tags you in like a kind of racy meme and you're like, I don't know if it's meme or meme. Is it meme?
It's meme.
I always get it mixed up. I'm so sorry. But say somebody tags you in something like that. You're like, oh, I really don't know if that should be on my wall. Like, delete it immediately. Untag yourself from it. Like, there's a beautiful feature on Facebook right now where you don't have to like delete it, but you can like remove it from your wall. So if you're curating what people are seeing about you and you're constantly pushing what you're about, that's taking control of your brand. And that's really all you have to do. So it's simple. It's not hard. Like you don't have to immediately publish a website about yourself. Just make sure you're putting out what you want to put out.
So would you say, like, let's say that I was somebody who on social media kind of had, like, let's say I had a bit of like an immature attitude, or, you know, was swearing all the time and like was doing things that don't go along with like the kind of corporate environment I was looking for. Even the startup company I wanted to look up, like maybe it's like very politically focused on one side, or just something that I don't want people to brand me as. What steps can I take to turn things around? Especially if I know that it can, now that I'm aware of what personal branding is, I can take some steps to pivot that.
Absolutely. So there's personal accounts, guys, that you can make private and that you can control. So take advantage of that, because if you're using your Facebook, which this is fine, if you're using your personal Facebook to like do rants, act like yourself, you know, whatever, know that that can affect you, but you can also like kind of control who's seeing it by making it private. So just accept friends or family, people that aren't going to like go to corporate places and be like, oh my God, did you see what, you know? So make sure that you're utilizing like the privacy settings, first of all, if you want to keep doing that. Obviously, if you do not want to keep doing that, go through and delete stuff. I always suggest Googling yourself, see what comes up. If you've had some really bad stuff, you're going to have to contact like a professional to get like your rankings, you know, kind of figured out. But then just start like flooding it all out with new stuff and like brighter stuff and like things you want people to see. And sooner than later, you know, like you're going to have so much new stuff that the old stuff will be filtered out. So
that makes perfect sense. It actually makes me think, so when I was my early 20s, I took a picture of myself wearing a t-shirt that said, drink until you want me. I just thought it was hilarious. I wasn't a party girl, but I was like, this shirt's so funny. Spencer's is the best place on earth. And I had it on Facebook for a really long time. And I Googled myself, and there I was with that shirt on, looking like I'm having the best time of my life. When I was probably like a Tuesday afternoon, and I was, you know, drinking juice.
It's fine.
But I just, you know, you never know what's going to show up and what people are going to find.
Exactly. Yeah. And it's nuts, like what the internet catches on to too. and produces in your search results. So that's why I always say, make sure you're searching yourself too, and you're not just like focusing on social media, because I found stuff for myself back in college, like, and I'm like, oh my God, like we had to do this like project on the history of chairs, and my blog still comes up about it. And I'm like, really? Like that's what's gonna catch on.
Solid blog on the chairs, though. You know, it really took people to the next level. So yeah, we don't want chairs to be what people know us as. So that makes a really good point. And I'm glad that you said that it's just if there's a lot on there that isn't great, then you're producing a lot of information that's good and that's current to what your brand is and what you want to put out there in your professional career. I actually I have a girlfriend who something horrible happened to a woman that had the same exact name as her. So there was all these news reports about this other woman with the same name. So if anybody Googled her name, it would just like make people sad, you know, because they start like digging through it. They didn't know because there was no picture related to it. And so she had taken it on upon herself to start putting things out there on the internet as much as possible, as much as made sense, so that she can start to come up when her name was getting searched.
Yeah, and that's the best way to go about it. And, you know, do a little research too, because some things have more oomph when it comes to like search results. So I know like articles, blogs that are connected to social media, like Facebook, Instagram, all those things, they have a really good rating because they're solid sites. It's like the social media sites of 2018, you know, so they're going to rank higher than a lot of things. So keep that in mind, like whenever you post something, or like if you do an article or blog on yourself, like always link it back to Facebook. You want to put as many links out there as you can, so it's always like popping up, and the more it pops up, the higher it comes up in the search results.
That's so true. And I would say the same with LinkedIn. I know that a lot of millennials are just starting to dip their toe into LinkedIn, even though it's been around for a little while, but getting it on there, since it's kind of all professional, not a lot of play, it's a great place to post some of that. And a few more things that I would just add on to what you're saying, and let me know if you disagree. But some other ways I was thinking that could help promote your branding is looking for speaking opportunities. So maybe not just in a conference, but even at a meeting when people are asking, when there's a meeting out there and you have a question that's prevalent, like let yourself be seen and ask a question. And if you're bold enough and you have the connections, like maybe you can speak at a conference and become the subject matter expert. And then another thing that you can try is getting in touch with journalists, and you can do that with like websites like Haro. Have you been on Haro?
I actually have not. I've heard of it, but
you got to be in Haro because you are the expert. But for those of you who aren't familiar with Haro, and there's websites like it, but Haro is the one that I use personally. It stands for Help a Reporter Out. And what will happen is you'll get emails 3 times a day, and it's a bunch of reporters talking about a story that they're writing, and they just want to get an expert opinion on something. So this is an opportunity, and you don't have to be an entrepreneur, you don't have to be some bigwig, but like you can just reply to any of these with just a couple of sentences, and they'll take your whatever you have and put it into a publication, or they may interview you. You never know. So it's always worth taking a chance.
Absolutely. No hiding. That's the biggest thing. You can't hide when you're trying to promote your brand, you know?
No, there's no hiding. And I know that that's so hard, especially for all my introverted friends, all my introverted clients. Like you just want to just hide behind it. And I'm sure that you experience that too, when, you know, you're working on people's websites and their logos, and they're like, oh, well, is that too bold? No, you got to be yourself and let yourself be seen. But that actually brings me to my next question, which is about personal websites, which is definitely a way to help promote your brand. So they're on the rise. A lot of people have, when they're looking for a job or they're looking to get to the next level in their job, they are using personal websites. So what advice would you give about making a website in the hopes to impress somebody?
I would say if you're going to make a website, make sure that you set it up correctly. You take the time to like really make it look decent. There's nothing worse than when somebody goes to your website and it's so hard to manage and kind of walk through and they're like, why am I even on this site? Like I can't find anything on here. So make sure that you either research it pretty well, and that's really where these new like platforms are coming in, like Squarespace and Wix. They're very visual, so it's very easy to set something up. If you're not a designer, simple is better. So make sure that you're just like getting the layout correct and it looks okay, because people really will look at it and be like, they'll decide if they want to stay or go. So that's like the first thing. The second thing is make sure the content is relevant and interesting. You don't want to bore somebody. Whatever job that you're looking to do, make sure it kind of relates to that. You don't want people going to your website and it's completely off the wall stuff. I would also say, you know, the same thing with social media. You really manage what you're putting on there. I wouldn't get too personal unless you're doing your own sort of blog and stuff. If it's for corporate worlds, I wouldn't. I would put work-related events, work-related blogs, you know, really stuff that's going to draw people in and be like, oh, wow, she is different. You know, she's like really doing something here and it's really interesting. So yeah, I really want to contact her. And that's the biggest thing. Like personal websites are cool because you can kind of do whatever you want, but just make sure that it's relating to what you actually want to do.
That's true. That makes sense. That brings me to a question I actually haven't asked you already, which is, I'm wondering if this is if it's tacky or if it's cool. Having like a video CV, which is something that more people are doing. So like it's like a video CV. It's like a minute and a half of you saying like, this is me, this is what I do, zoom, zam, zoom. Having that on your website, is that something that's tacky or is that kind of cool?
If you are the person that is great on video and you look good doing it and you're confident in it, do it. If you're awkward, you don't feel comfortable doing it, and you're like, oh, that scares the shit out of me, don't do it, because you can tell. It's so easy to see. So if you're very comfortable, like, video's the way to go. It's the number one ranked content. Like people view that the most, so they share that the most. So yes, if you can do it, do it. But I know a lot of people aren't comfortable on video. So if that's you and you're like, oh my God, I can't do this, like, then don't. Like, just put up a blog. It's totally fine.
Okay, all right, great. So do you think that you need to be like super tech savvy in order to design a site? And like, at what point do you say like, okay, I need to bring in a professional?
I would say if you get to the point where you're like, I don't have time to do this, I don't have time to sit down and figure it out, I would hire a professional then. And then I would also hire a professional when you don't know how to do it. Like you're just like, oh my, this looks terrible, I'm getting frustrated, I don't know what to do. Like, then go to somebody. It's going to save you peace of mind. It's probably going to save you time and money just doing it with somebody who knows what they're already doing. So
yeah, and just to harp on that, because you're so amazing at what you do, and I don't think anyone that's like a layman's going to get, you know, a Shawna quality website put together on their own if they have never, you know, worked with it. But if your website is looking like, you know, some circa 2001 kind of thing going on, like it's okay. Get some, show it to a few friends before you start showing it to employers and see what they say, because they'll let you know if that's not looking super fresh.
And then I would say it also depends like on the job you're going for, you know, if it's really like high up, you know, really corporate, like you want to make sure that thing's looking good before you put it on an application and be like, oh yeah, check me out, you know. So it really depends. But and it, you know, if it's like a self-employed like family thing, like maybe they'll have lower expectations. So it should look good either way, but like just know that there is a difference between the types of, you know, jobs.
That's true. I mean, a website for somebody that wants to work for AT&T versus somebody who wants to work for even Facebook is going to be different, and your role too. So there are, I hear a lot of horror stories about people who go on Fiverr or one of these freelancing websites and they don't know what's the right price to pay. They don't know what to look for in a designer, and then they end up getting ripped off and forgotten about. So what advice would you give for somebody that's taking a look to hire a designer?
For hiring a designer, you really want to mesh with them well. Now the thing about designers is that like Fiverr, for example, like if you need something fast and you're like not willing to spend money on it because you know it's going to change, then yeah, go there. But if you're looking for somebody who really wants to get to know your brand, who can help you with that part first, and then take all of that knowledge and really put it into a design that represents you and is going to be there for a couple of years, that's when you want to invest in a designer, and you just want to make sure that that like communication's there, that you guys vibe well, and that you don't, and one of the biggest things is that you don't feel weird telling them criticism. I get a lot of that. They're like, oh, I don't feel comfortable like telling you, so, but you just, it's your logo. Like, that's what designers are here for. It's your website. So just tell them what you want. It's much easier on both ends. But yeah, I think the biggest thing is just really getting somebody, you need to like their work too. Make sure they have a portfolio of work that they can show you. I know there's a lot of people out there right now that are just like, oh, I'm just starting, and here's a free website. Like, it's free. Expect free quality. So it's one of those things you have to be very careful about. I wouldn't rush into it. I would take your time. I would do your research, really reach out to people, and see who you vibe with the best.
And one thing that I'll add, or a question that I'll ask is, you set up these amazing things that people who are in the professional world may not be familiar with, and they're called mood boards, where you, well, I won't even say what it is, because I would want you to explain what a mood board is for anybody that's looking to work with a designer. Like, what is that?
Yeah, a mood board, I always explain it as a starting point for the client and the designer to agree on a direction for the project. So what it is Noelle's done one of these before, so she knows, but I set it up as a Pinterest account. And on Pinterest, I tell you, I want you to pin like 65 images just that you feel naturally drawn to and you feel that represent your brand. Now, I always say stay image-based, because we're going for vibe, we're going for color, we're just going for general feeling. And so they do that, and they're like, oh, I don't really know what I'm doing, I'm just picking out images that I like. But they do that and they get this collection, and then I go back in and I kind of pick out reoccurring themes, like things that they really liked, the colors that keep popping up, and then I put together a condensed little mood board that represents their brand. And and then we kind of agree that we're like, yeah, this is where I want to take the brand, or like, no, I think it needs a little more like energy, a little more happiness maybe. So it's really one of those things that's, you don't use it so much for anything else, but it's so important for the beginning step. Like, and then you always come back to it as you keep working. You're like, does this fit the mood board? Does this fit the brand? So it really does do its part, and it's such a cool little tool to have.
It's so cool. And that's like one of the things that like got me like hooked onto you, was I saw these mood boards that you were putting out, and I'm like, that's so cool, that's so interesting. And then you did mine, and I was like totally freaked out, because like I put together like all these like random things, and I just threw them together, and you found like there was like a pomegranate, and like and then I had like a picture of like a holly festival, and there's like all these colors, like you put all the colors together, and it was like a masterpiece. Like I wanted to hang up my mood board. It was crazy. Like it got into my heart. It was so good. But it's such a talent.
Yes. I love it.
So what would you, thank you so much for your time. I want to give you the floor. Is there anything that you're promoting right now, anywhere that we can find you, so that we can get an awesome website too?
Absolutely. So you guys can contact me on Facebook if you're looking for any type of branding. I do logos, I do websites, but my biggest thing right now is that I've actually started a course I just finished the first round, and it went amazing, but it's really just about these branding foundations and branding basics. So you know what you want, and you know your values when you go to get all these design and visuals done, because that's the most important part. The worst thing that you can do is go to a designer and not know what you want. So that they have their job, and that's not one of them. So I'm really promoting that. It's called Reputation. So it's really going to help you with the creation of your brand, the execution of your brand, and the management of your brand. And it's just 3 days. And I did a live the first time around, but this time it's just going to be a prepackaged course, and it's going to go out for sale here within the next week. So keep an eye.
Awesome. Well, that sounds like it's going to be a great opportunity, especially, I mean, that's really perfect for anybody that isn't quite sure what they want, because trying to give somebody instructions when you don't know is so confusing to the person on the other end. And then you're nervous because you're like, Do you think they got it? I don't know if they got it. And they didn't. They didn't get it because you didn't explain it.
The feedback from the course has been, I've never felt this sense of clarity about my brand before. And that's exactly what I wanted. So if you're feeling like you're struggling with it's perfect for you.
Okay, wonderful. Well, I took a look at the comments and everything has just been really supportive and sweet, but I haven't seen any questions. But if you have any questions, be sure to do a hashtag replay, and whatever your question is, Shawna or I will definitely get back to you. And Shawna, thank you so much for your time. You were wonderful. I always love speaking with you.
Oh, you're so welcome. It's always fantastic talking to you.
Bye.
See you, girl.